Hello everybody and welcome to 2C TV. The state of Israel have once again done it. The body of the latest leader of Hezbollah has been uncovered, and 2C TV has once again been proven right, despite the mainstream media denying rejecting the truth and the factual news stories that's reported on this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through all the updates that we have from the conflict in the Middle East. We're going to start talking about Hashem Safieddine. If you guys remember, recently we reported on this channel that Hashem was eliminated by the IDF. We obviously had our sources also confirm this in the IDF as well. They claimed it. The mainstream media, the international media, decided to reject those claims, and everybody, they sent their minions to 2C TV to leave comments saying this is fake news. Well, it's now been officially confirmed, as firstly reported by this channel. Another one bites the dust. So this is about Hashem Safieddine, who was the latest leader of Hezbollah, the head of Hezbollah terrorist organization's executive council, member of the Shura Council, the senior military political forum, responsible for decision making of the organization. Safieddine was also Hassan Nasrallah's cousin, obviously filling in as the Secretary General when Hassan Nasrallah was absent, when Hassan was going to McDonald's to have lunch for 2 days. Now, directed terrorist activities against the state of Israel and took part in Hezbollah's main decision-making process. It's not really a surprise that the media continue to go with their own narrative. And one of the other problems that we're currently facing is that many speculations obviously suggest that Israel are taking the different phases and steps in this conflict, because the conflict is now a wider conflict. It's about the whole region, and indirectly they have already been backed by a number of the Arab countries in terms of the Arab world, because they all know that the main enemy is in Iran, the Islamic occupiers of Iran. And everybody's still waiting to see the surprise attack from Israel. But going back to the elimination of the latest Hezbollah leader, we have a statement from the Israeli Defense Forces. Hashem Safieddine, the head of the Hezbollah's executive council, and Ali Hussein Hazima, the commander of Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters, were both eliminated during a strike on Hezbollah's main intelligence HQ. Hashem Safieddine was a member of the Shura Council, as we said earlier. The statement continues by saying that obviously Hashem was the cousin of Hassan Nasrallah, the former leader of Hezbollah, and had a significant influence on decision making within the organization. During times when Nasrallah was absent from Lebanon, Hashem filled in as the Secretary General. Throughout the years, Safieddine directed terrorist attacks against Israel and took part in decision-making processes. Alongside Hashem, the terrorist Ali Hussein Hazima, the commander of Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters, was also eliminated. He was responsible for directing numerous attacks on IDF soldiers. Now, all this goes back to the character of Hashem, because a lot of people who've been fed lies and propaganda by the Hezbollah of Lebanon have been going around saying these people were very good, they were very inclusive, they were fine with living alongside non-Islamic Lebanese people, but that was not really the case. The Christians were also being threatened by Hashem Safieddine. In fact, if you guys remember, a while ago, he made a speech directly threatening Christians, especially in regards to what's been going on with the conditions and the arrangements of governance in Lebanon. Let's go to that.
الذي يعرض على بعض اللبنانيين الآن إن لم يسارعوا إليه سيأتي الوقت الآتي وهم غير قادرين أن يحصلوا حتى على العرض الذي يعرض اليوم. بكل صراحة عجلوا أحسن لكم، والتأخير ليس لمصلحتكم على الإطلاق. لماذا؟ لأنكم فاقدوا لأوراق القوة التي تدعون وتتخيلون أنكم تملكونها وأنتم لا تملكونها.
That wasn't really the first time. So all that propaganda, all those lies about Hashem Safieddin being a moderate in Lebanon, well, that wasn't really the case. But good news continues across the board, ladies and gentlemen, today, because we also have an update on what's going on in Iraq at the same time. In the middle of all this conflict, we got the other nutters from the other side, as in the Islamic State. Oh yes, they're kicking off as well because they want some attention. But unfortunately, they've lost yet another leader. Yes, the Prime Minister of Iraq, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, confirms the elimination of the Islamic State's commander for Iraq during a military operation in the Hamrin Mountains. Oh, what a sad, sad day for the virgin goat lovers. So, of course, this is not going to be helping any situation because the Iranian regime, who control big chunks of Iraq at this point, they try their best to push out the Sunni extremists, to bring in their own Shia extremists in the name of the Hezbollah of Iraq. And so obviously Hezbollah as an organization is a wing of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So they have a branch in Lebanon, which is obviously, we've been talking about that. And they also have a branch in Iraq. And their job is to fight against the Sunnis and the Zionists and everybody else. The Sunnis on the other side are also fighting against the Zionists and the Shias. It's a lot of multitasking involved, as you guys know. So the Islamic State have now threatened to do more terrorist attacks in Iran, which is not really good timing for the Islamic Republic because they're also expecting the Zionists to attack Tehran. So they're going to get attacked by Israel and the Islamic State at the same time. It's going to be a little bit confusing for those guys. So they're going to have to get more support from the Taliban. The Taliban are a little bit distracted because they've also been sending support to Russia, and just like North Korea, by the way. It's over the next few months we are going to be getting a lot of roller coaster news updates based on what's going to happen inside Iran. Right now, everybody is still waiting in terms of the surprise attack by the IDF. And once that happens, two things could start. One is the inevitable domino effect, or it could just delay the inevitable, which is, again, using more proxies against each other. Now, in the middle of all this, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's been under a lot of pressure, obviously, and the assassination attempt on him as well. And yet, 2 days ago was his birthday. That didn't really go too well because of all the conflicts happening at the same time. Pretty sure he hasn't really had time to celebrate that. The IRGC, the Islamic Republic of Iran's Hezbollah wing, the media relations officer, Mohammed Afif, officially announced that the Islamic resistance fully claims responsibility for the assassination attempt on Netanyahu and his wife. So they are proud to say, I mean, we knew this already, but we were just waiting for the confirmation from the Iranian regime's Hezbollah, and they have now officially confirmed. So it's like they're poking the bear. They are sending the Iranian president across the world to the United Nations and everybody else to say, we don't actually want to escalate things, guys. On the other hand, they pick up the phone saying, can you target Netanyahu and his wife? I'm like, that doesn't really help, because I'm pretty sure those sitting in the United Nations and the State Department in America are a little bit frustrated with Iran because they don't want a conflict. We know. It's not in the interest of the American globalists for the Iranian regime to fall, because they'd rather have a weak enemy. Also, in the short term, it's definitely not in the interest of the American Democrats, the US Democrats, for the conflict to happen in Iran, because it's going to mess up with the oil prices and everything else, energy prices in general, just before the election. And obviously, it's going to be damaging Kamala Harris's campaign. It's the same reason that Joe Biden tried his best and managed to force and beg Netanyahu not to escalate things back in April, the first time Iran attacked Israel, and Israel decided to de-escalate it. The main reason was that Joe Biden was afraid, partly, what's going to happen to his own election campaign if things kick off. There's also that, but IRGC's Hezbollah have come out to say If our hands did not reach you the previous time, then between us and you are days, nights, and the field. I mean, this is just not even real words. They're just... It's word salad, as we say. In the middle of all this, obviously the Israelis have been coordinating with the UAE to send in more aid to Gaza. We've had about 80 tons worth of aid being sent to Gaza, which again will be at this point helping a lot of civilians, because the militants are all over the place. They're not going to be able to stop this. Let's go to that video. So yeah, that was the 80 tons of aid being sent to Gaza by UAE and Israel, and obviously this should help some of the civilians. The most of the warehouses that was used by the Islamists and the Hamas have been completely destroyed. They don't really have many bases left. So hopefully, if they drop the aid like that, then civilians should get their hands on them way before the Islamists. Although the Islamists, the Hamas members are everywhere, but they're not really. They don't really have proper leadership anymore to actually get command. They're still going to try their best to steal the aid, but this is a better method than sending in trucks and lorries and everything else through the border, because every time you go through that, the checkpoints are controlled by Hamas, and they always find a way to take it to their warehouses. At this point, they are finding it difficult because they don't even have a leader anymore. Nobody knows who's actually in charge of those idiots. So, Antony Blinken yesterday went to Tel Aviv, as you guys know, and he had a bit of a rough ride, because one of the main reasons that he decided to go there was to, again, beg the Israeli government not to escalate things with Iran. And he was trying to reassure them that, of course we have your back, but things seem to be okay now. Everything is calming down. While Antony Blinken was saying that, there was a huge attack on Tel Aviv. I love how Antony Blinken, that was Secretary of State in America, going around saying, everything seems to be a little bit peaceful here. It's good. Well done. You've done your operation. It's probably time for ceasefire, right? And then they start attacking Tel Aviv. Sirens were going off and the whole thing kicked off. Let's quickly go to that video. Let's watch this. Oh, not a good trip for Antony Blinken. Obviously, nobody was hurt, but I can imagine if you're Antony Blinken, you would freak out if you go in there to Tel Aviv and the sirens go off and you're like, oh, I'm not used to this. What do I do? It's fine. Everything's going to be fine. They got the Iron Dome. Antony, calm down, dear. Anyway, let's get some reaction from you guys while we're here. First, the super chat from Mandy, thank you, saying a great job. If you want to cash in on life insurance policies, yes, yeah. Anybody who is a candidate to become the next leader of Hezbollah, all life insurance companies must give him a phone call immediately. It helps. RG says, do you believe that the Israeli plans leak were really done by Ariana Tabatawi? And personally, I think it's too easy to use the already suspected Iranian American as an scapegoat. What do you think? Yeah, no, I don't believe that. No, it's not. It's stupid. I mean, I'm still convinced. My crazy conspiracy theory is that because there were not detailed plans anyway, and that plans change. From the history of the Israeli government and the IDF, all that suggests that they make the plans, they make general plans, but they always change them towards the end, because that's the culture that the state of Israel over the last few decades had to always be on their toes because they knew there will be spies everywhere. So if you get a plan that Israel has, I don't know, weeks in advance, that plan is usually not going to be the main plan. So my conspiracy theory is that it might have been an element of self-leak to distract. But no, I don't believe they're not too stupid to have obvious suspects getting access and leaking things. How is the Iranian-Arab relations with Persian Iranians? Well, that's the thing. So the question needs to be clarified because there's two parts. One is the Islamic occupiers of Iran. That's the regime, the Islamic Republic. And then the one is the actual Iranian people. The Islamic Republic, obviously, they have a massive problem with the Arab world. The Iranian people, there is cultural, historic problems with the Arabs that they have, the Persians. But it's at this one, it's sort of like banter. It's sort of like the English and the French. When the Shah of Iran was in place as king, the relations with the Arab world was good, because he was the one with Israel. Israel and Iran at the time, before the uprising, were keeping the peace in the Middle East. They've also managed to contain the craziness of Saddam Hussein at the time. But the moment the Shah went, as he predicted himself, chaos started. And Israel was getting attacked left, right and center since the 70s. The issue that we have is the Chinese Communist Party and the other parts of the Eastern globalists have been trying to get Saudi Arabia and Iran to get closer. Now, they have been doing gimmicky partnerships. Saudi meeting with the Iranians, say, yeah, sure, we could do business. But Saudi Arabia still fundamentally fears and hates the Islamic Republic of Iran. And they are not going to be jeopardizing their relationship with Israel and the West. So, overall, normal Persian Iranian people don't necessarily have any problem with the Arabs, apart from the banter and the jokes. But the actual regime, yeah, they have big problems. Coco Focus says, Ayatollah wants to spread radical Islam over the world using the fight against Zionism as an excuse. Absolutely. Hitler did the same thing with the Jews to spread Nazism. All that supports Palestine are Nazis, basically. Yeah, I mean, that was the case with the Mufti, obviously, at the time. Adolf meeting the Islamist leaders and everything else. One of the main problems is you have to, sometimes when you have an adversary or some sort of enemy, sometimes it's strategical. For example, the American establishment going to the Middle East, they have their interests. They want to take oil, for example, or they want to have geopolitical strategy in the region to be close to Russia and everything else. Sometimes it's an actual fight. Something happens between two sides. And sometimes you simply actually have one side being ideological long term. So Islam, for centuries, since the 7th century, has been the first ideology that focuses on the one world government under the flag of Islam. And you can't really reason with that. You can't negotiate. So, for example, Zelensky and Putin eventually can negotiate. Theoretically, they can negotiate. They could come up with some sort of arrangement. It's never going to fix everything completely, but it's that is a more of a cultural, tribal battle. And also, obviously, strategical, geopolitically. But when it comes to, when you're dealing with ideological people, so whether it's National Socialists in Germany at the time or Islam, you can't reason with them because they have one goal and they will use anything. Even if they have used the enemy of an enemy, other allies, short-term use people, they would do it. So you can't negotiate with actual terrorists. Tim says, thanks for keeping us updated. Thank you very much, Tim, for your support. Please warn us before videos with alarm sounds. Yes, I think that's for people in Israel. I did say that, obviously, we're going to show the video, but Anthony Blinken before that. I think Israel is now a much safer place than the UK. Its government is actually serious about protecting the nation. That is also very true. I wish we could actually say the same about the British government and some of the other Western governments, like the Canadian government. Seems like they are treating their own people as enemies, and they are treating the actual external enemies as friends and vulnerable people, which makes no sense. Steve says, thank you, Maya. God will keep you safe. Love and prayers to all. Thank you very much, Steve, for that. Let's go to a couple of non-super chats as well while we're here. Joseph says, I knew Maya were right. No, I know you were right, Maya. It is similar to mainstream. Yeah, I mean, I love how, like, I didn't even try to defend myself. So in case you don't know what we're talking about, this whole update, another one bites the dust. The whole thing about the Hezbollah leader being eliminated. We reported it first. Everybody said this is fake news. I had my sources. We confirmed it. We knew it happened. But I did say it's been reported. We will wait for the body. And it's been finally confirmed after how many days? And I said, well, I did say that. I did say it was reported. And we said, we're going to wait for the confirmation, but it's happened. Wait for it. CNN and BBC, everybody was like, BBC verify, fact-checking, like, oh, the fake news channels, it's not happening. Well, it's happened. So, if you want to get your latest updates, always follow 2CTV. Mandy says, everyone push the thumbs up button. Yes, definitely, guys. Click like. It will help the algorithm. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We have so much to talk about. We're going to talk about what's going on with Peter Lynch's death, the British political prisoner. We're going to talk about Donald Trump filing an investigation into Keir Starmer and his government. And of course, later tonight, we also have a special show with a special guest and a co-host on 2C TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.